I'm here at Pyro Furniture and Flooring, and you can see around me are the most beautiful, beautiful pieces of furnishing and coffee tables. And you'll also notice that vases are the big thing in interior design at the moment. Just have a look at them. They're big, they're beautiful, and everybody loves to have them so that they can have them of their coffee tables. So fashion is vases, but let's put some flowers in those vases and really make them burst with life. This DVD is going to be all about putting the flowers into the vases and then taking the vases with you into somebody's home as a big gift that they can just put straight on their coffee table, and da-da, the celebrations have begun. Going to take you back to the studio now and show you 6 designs using vases that you can take as gifts or you can sell in your flower shop. See you back at the studio. Vases is all about wonderful things that you have or wanting to add value to a flower if you own a flower shop. For example, you've bought some cheap vases. Now all you need to do is add maybe 3 bits of New Zealand flax or gymea or something to them, and you will be able to sell not only the vase but the arrangement. There'll be no ribbons, there'll be no cellophane, nothing like that. Just carry them out of the shop. They take them to their coffee table, put them down, and they've got an instant decoration for their homes. So they are really, really useful for cash and carry type customers, or really useful if you go into a hospital and you just want to plonk it. No running around looking for a nurse to find a vase, fill it with water, can't have water, all those sort of things. That's what this DVD is all about. Portable arrangements that can cost as little or as much as you want, that are quick and fast, very impressive, and are instantly able to be put somewhere if you give them away. Okay, I've got this beautiful vase here that I'm going to use. All you're going to need is a tall vase. The other thing you're going to need is some old floral foam, some new floral foam, some long blades, anything that is a long blade, and it doesn't have to last out of water because we're going to put it in floral foam. The length is the thing. A tiny bit of cold glue, some shells, a little bit of Oasis Fix, which is like blue tack, these are all brand names, plasticine, just something to stick plant material to your vase, and of course the mossing pins that we have to have all the time. A container this big is going to take a lot of floral foam, so this is where all your old floral foam from old projects, don't throw it away. You can't use it again to retain water, but you can use it to fill up a vase where you don't want to use all of your good floral foam. So in it all goes. We'll obviously just cut this down to save some time and trim it back. And now get your new floral foam. It's been soaked, obviously, it's wet floral foam, and pop that in. If your vase goes straight up to here, make sure that the floral foam is above the rim just a little bit. So I test it out. I have to take a bit that's a bit like this. Just a sharp knife. And all I'm wanting is a layer of the foam to put the flax in. Just so that I could push that all in there so it's secure and not going to bounce out. Alright, you can see my container's also got here a hole in it. Yours won't have, maybe, or maybe it will. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of foam in there as well, of the wet variety. You're going to put it underneath because you're actually going to wrap this. Just measure it. So it's going to go up both sides. If you're using a container that doesn't have a hole like I've got there, you're going to have to find yourself the longest piece you can that will go up past the rim. So in this goes, and I'm just poking it straight up like that into the foam. Wrap, 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 make sure it's really tight this side, and push it in. Do that with a mossing pin. Make sure it goes across the grain, and there's your wrap done. With any flax, there's always a side that will like to curl, there's always a side that won't like to curl. You see how that goes all raggedy? Make a cut, an arrow. Push that right in. Right down. Round we go. Quite hard to do this sideways, I'll just forgive me while I do this. Round we go, and around again. Put the pin in across the grain. Like that. Slide it underneath. Pin in there, up as far as you can go with it. It might hold without you having to do any more, but if you feel as if it's not too secure, you can always put a piece of glue or another pin in there. Alright, so that's just given it that swirl going that way. Experiment with your own plant material and see what's going to swirl. Now the next piece is going to thread through that one. So we're going to start it so it's right on the edge. Push it right down through the edge there. That way, of course, it's hiding that foam. And it's going to go down through the back and through here. Down through the back of the loop and down and through there. This is where you need your little bit of Vases Fix. Vases Fix does not like too much human contact, and it doesn't like being cold. If it doesn't work for you, use glue. A little bit on the back of the leaf. And push it in. For the last piece, I'm just going to put a little flax loop up through the top of here. It's easily achieved. Once again, make the arrow, check the side. It's always the inside, by the way, that bends properly. So you only need a tiny piece for this. And in it goes there. Bring it through and then roll it this way. Once you've rolled it, put a wee mossing pin on the back there, across the vein as always, and put a second one in. The second one is quite well hidden inside that first loop. So we now go around the back. You can see there's a wee bit of foam showing here, so it's really just a little fiddle with another roll. Your vase will be different, but do just fill in that back piece. People aren't going to see the back, but you still don't want that foam showing. Okay. Now what we have got is a mossing pin here, you can see. So we want to hide that in some way, and we're going to hide it by creating a really cool little feature. Something that's going to go with this lovely sandy look. But it also has a second purpose, and of course those are these lovely shells. I'm using the cold glue again, and the secret with cold glue is always to leave it for a while so it will hold, and also to find out where it will actually glue. So you just put a tiny wee bit and leave it for at least 10 seconds. I think our 20 seconds is up. And just pop it over there. And just hold it for a wee while. Right, there's the 3 of them glued on there, and beautiful way of hiding those mossing pins, but also is integrating your container with the rest of the design. And that is how to add value to a container with 3 bits of flax and 3 shells that if you don't have a beach handy, you can actually buy shells like that off the internet rather beautifully. So we'll pop this one here, take it off the stand. Imagine somebody getting that. You know, I see so many people getting bouquets and they just don't know what to do with them. And I've made a second one. It's a little baby that sits under there like that. And you immediately have yourself a nice decoration for the table with added value. Interesting thing about this one is the use of a zip. Zips are hot at the moment. They're an emerging trend. First seen in Boston by a Russian florist, and then at the Czech Republic competitions it popped up again, and Marie-Françoise Dupré, her new book in September, has a zip on the cover. So there it is. I found this in a bargain bin. It was $1.50, and I tried to find one that was fat enough, the zip itself, to be seen, and I was really pleased that I found one that had the same metallic colour as the container. It's almost a case of find the zip first and then choose your container, because the zip's going to be the hard one to find. Look in a fabric shop. Floral foam, cold glue, and 1 leaf. The leaf you're going to choose, this is an Aurelia. You can also choose Monstera. You can see it here. This is the Russian guy who did it. Any leaf that's got a natural opening that you can make look like it's being zipped. And of course you can cut a leaf too. I'm also using reeds, 2 different sorts of reeds. This is a New Zealand native, I have no idea what it's called, sorry. And equisetum, also called tiger's tail. These are the flowers of bromeliads. The flower that you're looking for will be something that is the same tonings as the fabric on your zip, but also that is beautifully vertical, because this is a vertical design. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do is pretend you're sewing and put on your zip. Decide where it's going to go. The Aurelia is going to go there. It's going to completely cover the foam we're going to put in, so that's obviously where the zip is going to go. So I have to open the zip, and I have to attach it so it follows that line and that line. So it looks as if the plant is unopened and out is going to spill all the plant material. As any good sewer knows, you never have the zip showing on the outside. It is a zip after all. So plan how it's going to attach. And that's where you know you're going to place the glue around like that. And pop the cold glue on the inside of the leaf. Just do one side at a time. I think it's going to be easier for you. So the glue has now had that 20 seconds. And just curl the zip around. You want some of that colour showing. Just hold it in place. Alright, so I've done the second side exactly the same way, just curling the zip around. You can see the back of it. It's still very, very neat. But then, this is well set, just trim that little tag off with your scissors. And you've got your zip. Doesn't it look just so cool? Okay, so now to prepare the vase. I've stuffed the vase full of used plastic bags. It was a great way to use them. The reason is, once again, less floral foam to use. You can use old floral foam, whatever you like. It keeps it light too that way. Now I just have to measure the foam to cut it to size. Pop it in. There's the trusty knife. Ugh. You want it right down to the rim. And you've noticed I've made it quite deep, the foam too, because we want everything to really, really soak. Right, now once again, place the aralia so it's going to completely cover the foam, and yet you're still going to have that zip in the right place. Cut off the stem. Really short, so it just goes straight into the foam. Down it goes, in and on. So there it is, all ready to go. No floral foam showing anywhere at all. And this is where you're now saying, okay, what's coming out? What have we unzipped as a display to show us something exciting from underneath? And this is where, of course, we're going to start going upwards. It's quite a tall vase. Normally you go 1.5 times, something like that. So you can measure it to get your height 1, 2, about there. And there's the first bit of equisetum bursting forth and holding that aralia in the right place as it's coming up like that. Check the height, is it high enough? And this is, you'll see now why I've picked also the reed. It's wanting that contrast between this very fat equisetum and this very thin, shiny reed. That can go higher because it is thinner. I am going to absolutely fill up this gap here with all of these reeds shooting out. Yours could cascade downwards. It's up to you what you have happening in this area, but make it something dramatic as it emerges from that zip. Straight as you can get it. And just mixing up the reeds with the other. Right, as we go, we'll start putting this in to get this colour, and here's your surprise. Look what's coming out. It's beautiful, amazing bromeliad flower. Push it in from the base, and as we go it will tuck itself in there. Keep something shorter. There's no right or wrong side to this. It can go either way. As you put in these ones here, put them so they're different heights. They grow at the same height in my garden because of the frost, so I've got to cut them to different heights. Facing back to the zip so you can have pointing its way to the zip, and then fill in the rest with more of these beads. I've got this very strange shaped one here too. I thought that would be rather nice to point backwards. And once again, it doesn't take much at all. It takes 3 what I would call signature flowers and a few reeds and 1 leaf. And there you have, as quick as simple as that, see what I'm building here, as quick and easy as that, a really, really interesting arrangement for somebody to put on their coffee table in a modern home, or to take to a friend in hospital, or just enjoy for their next dinner party. And there it is. And we'll call it zipped. One once again easy to carry, and once again with using plant material that's easy to find, but you can make it look even more sensational if you use the concept of enclosed space. You're going to need a tall vase. I'm using a white one in this case, a range of foliage that is in contrast to each other. So I have Aralia plus the Aralia seeds, conifer, 1 rose from the garden, some sunset safari, leucadendrum and geranium. Lemon smelling geranium would be lovely if you were going to a hospital patient. Also some white straws, some floral foam, and some wire that matches the colour of the roses and the leucadendrons. Just going to show you the mechanic that we used to use, and it was taking a recycled little dish. This one had something in it from the supermarket, cut down so it fits over the jar. Once you put the floral foam in, you tape it over the top, and it's very, very secure. However, a couple of months ago we had a Belgian designer come and stay with us here at Floral Design headquarters, and he showed what he does. It's much quicker. It's recycling old plastic bags. Cut it into a long shape. So it's going to squish in there. You wrap it in the plastic, and then you force it into the vase. Now, not only does this stop it dripping right through the vase, the plastic retains the water in there, and look how secure that is, drip drip, without hardly any time at all taken. The straws are going to be your enclosed space. You can use cane, you could use reeds for this, you could use anything you want that is long and thin. I'm using white straws that I got from a wholesaler because of course they go almost with the colour of the container. They are the bendy sort. So to make the straw longer, just fold it in half and push it in like that. There's the bend there. And to strengthen that joint, just make a lovely little coil. Now, not only does this become a feature that matches the yellow of the plant material, it's also holding that in, and as it's gone, did you notice how suddenly that joint had completely disappeared? Cut it off, twist them round, and you've got the joint. Do it with another one, fold it, push it in, and that will give me the triangle shape that I'm looking for to eventually go into the floral foam. So I've made quite a few of those. I think there's going to be 8 of them altogether. The wire is very cheap. It comes in bundles like this. It's actually covered with a tiny little layer of shiny paper, and If you come across it at your wholesalers, buy every colour they have, because they come in handy for all sorts of things very, very quickly. So, how to convert a very, very ordinary seen it all before design into something more spectacular for the same amount of money. The Aurelia, cut it fairly short and put it in the front. And the second one cuts short and goes into the back. You'll have seen this design maybe lots and lots of times. Now we start the groupings. So we now do a grouping of a contrasting leaf on one side. It's a sort of arrangement that's been done 100 times with 100 different sorts of plant material. 5 leaves grouped and layered on that side. And then conifer. Strip the leaves off the bottom. I've picked a conifer that has yellow tints in it. Cut it on an angle and pop it on this side in a group. Okay, then we put another little group here of these beautiful Out For Me for Winter. Rhododendrons. Grouping, of course, keeps everything very, very modern. And then these very cool berries, aren't they? Coming down through the top. And you've got plenty of floral foam to play with here. Covering down through the back now. And one last rose. And the focal point is just going here. Alright, so no time at all, I've got a wee gap there. So I'll just put another couple of these beautiful geranium leaves in. And at this point, really, it's a little bit greener at the back than the front, but it could be any design. And you go, okay, that's quite sweet, thank you very much for that. But can you see how the vase is dominating and you just got this little pile of foliage at the top? So this is where your wonderful straws come in, because now you're going to enclose space all the way around it, and by doing that you're going to give it that real wow factor that's cost you possibly 8 straws. Find the foam and just create the triangles. Wherever you feel like putting them, really, remember to go outwards as well as upwards. And keep turning it as you go, so you're checking to see that you're keeping it looking really balanced and zingy. And you see how you're immediately enclosing space and you've made the design actually look so much bigger than it is. Very quickly done. That arrives, goes on somebody's coffee table, immediately has a presence. It's sheltering it at the same time, it's making that rose look as if it's all protected. And the last one will go here. This one is a shorter one. It just pops around the back. And there it is. How to turn something you've seen every day into something with a little bit of spectacular wow. And all you've done is enclosed the space with a few straws. There you are. To go in this design is from Marie-Françoise Dupré, who is a French flower arranger who travels the world giving workshops, and she gave one in Queensland, Australia, and we covered it in Floral Design magazine. So now I'm going to show you how she did it. What you're going to need is again a vase. This is an ikebana vase. It's very, very common, this red vase in ikebana. If you have access to an ikebana chapter, just Google it. You probably will be able to find out where they get their supplies from. Other than that, any tall vase. Red in this case, some floral foam, some cold glue, and some washers. These are of taps. I got them very cheap from our local hardware. They're rubber, and you can get them in all sorts of widths and colours. Of course, I wanted the red. So, washers for taps. 3 camellias from out of the garden that I've stripped all of the leaves off of, and also pinned the back of them with black pins, as you know, and some more black pins here for just securing the aspidistra, which you see here, and a craft knife and a plastic bag. So the first thing we're going to do is prepare the vase exactly the same as we did before. Check first of all and see the shape I need. Cut it to that shape. Plastic bag. And straighten. And then cut the plastic bag. Right around those edges. The method of these wonderful rubber rings. This is what they're going to look like when you're finished. And you think, that is so clever. How did they do that? And it's really just a case of precision cutting. The other wonderful thing about this is if you've got an aspidistra that's a little bit flawed, it's natural, that's where the hole's going to go. A little bit of glue, rubber ring. Always use this cold glue. Don't be tempted to use a hot glue gun. It will just burn the leaf. Wait that important 20 seconds. And then just press it gently where you want your hole to be on the leaf. Wait for another minute maybe. So I've now waited about a minute, and then you just use this very sharp craft knife to cut the aspidistra from the middle. I mean, once you've got this idea, you can use it for hearts, anything really. And this tiny little bit of extra effort just creates a whole new interesting look, which of course adds value. And there it is, a porthole to the world. just neaten up these edges, take off any glue that could be lying around, because you really want it to look as if that little porthole grew on the aspidistra. If the back is going to be seen, glue another one to the back as well. Easy as that. Done. 6 washes, $1. Pretty good for added value to make something look funky. I've already obviously done some of them. 3 camellias, 3 portholes. So we can get started. Cut your camellias very, very short. They actually flop. If you put them like this, even though you would like them like that, they tend to flop. So go the way they want to go. Put them in really, really close, almost Belgian style. So they get plenty of water through like that. So you take your first aspidistra and pop it in this way and bring it right down over the camellias, so you're looking through the hole at the camellias. I've put some Oasis Fix on the base here and just pop that into there and then push it down onto the vase, so the hole is this little peak place, a little bit of interest onto that side there like that. Then take the second one, pop the second one here, and just gently over the top as a peak hole, a little bit more for Oasis Fix. And down. In an interesting way over the camellia. You see, I don't want those two to meet like that, it's too predictable, so you can bring one down much, much lower. This is integrating the vase with the design, so when you push on it you're getting this long, lovely look through there. Alright, they can still see the camellias from all sides there, but those holes are just going, oh, what's all that about? You've just added so much more interest to it. And third one, this is all you need, is the 3. Pop it through in here, they're nice and deep. And bring it round. And fix it on the vase there. 3 camellias, 3 aspidistra leaves, 3 washes in 1 container. And you're going to add an immense value to this design. Just going to reglue that there. And then I'm just going to check and see if there's any of that plastic showing. And if there is, just tuck it in with the end of your knife. And it will disappear down into the vase. I'm just adding some glue to 2 more rings here. As I turned it round to have a look and see how it was, you can see in the back here, there are the back of the rings is just the holes. You mightn't be able to see it through the camera there, but you can see it that you're actually looking through the leaves from the back. So I'm going to add the rings to the back of the leaf, because that's actually what you're going to see more than where I had them. That's the front of the design here. We certainly just don't want a hole looking at, and this is just those little finishing touches that make all the difference. So now this way, when it's viewed from what is essentially the front here, they can see 3 lots of rings as they go through, and I'll clean off that glue in a minute or two when it's completely dry, and you will have the finished product. And there it is. It's very, very simple. It's incredibly effective, and it's something that the people won't have seen before, and they'll be quite fascinated by. I was in a craft shop the other day. It's a good place to go and have a wander and actually see what's around. And I found from the scrapbooking people, there were these amazing cutters. It's supposed to be for paper. This one had a dragonfly on it, and there is the shape that it makes. But there were hearts, there were butterflies, there's all sorts of things that are very, very cool. I know a lot of florists now put a little ladybird or something on every arrangement that goes out as their signature, but this isn't going to cost you anything except the cutter, which didn't cost a lot of money, because you can cut out fabulous shapes that you can use. So we're going to have, you'll need a cutter of the shape of your choice, and also I'm going to use dried aspidistra. This is what happens if you bought too much or you grow it. Once you've finished with it or the arrangement's dead, save your aspidistra because it does go this beautiful colour. The other one is dried fern, once again used an arrangement taken out and just left, and there it is, this beautiful fern, also in those golden colours. Some skeletonized leaves that come in from Asia very, very cheaply, and a piece of green aspidistra. The vase is exactly the same as last time. It's a piece of dry floral foam. It's an old piece, I don't need to have it wet. Inside a plastic bag, and just popping all of those little bits of the plastic down inside there so that you can't see them as we work. It's a horizontal design. So in goes the dried aspidistra, one on either side to establish your line. Let's cut it short, and then it goes. So that's going to be quite a width there to do it. We also are going to add some more of this in a layer, quite flat, some at the back a little bit and higher up. You notice that the foam is above the rim of the container, so whatever container you use, above the rim, because that allows you to get more depth here on the top. And in between, just pop in these little bits of fern. It's a contrast of texture, and it adds that interest. Doesn't obviously this doesn't all have to be dried. What we do on one side for this one, we sort of do on the other side. Bring it to the other side. That's the way it wanted to curl. So that's the way it goes. Cut it down. And do the way it wants to go, and that's the way it wants to go. And it's rolling through there. This one is rolling that way. And cut it here. Gather it up and roll it this way. If you need to, you can always put skewers on the end of these to make them tighter. And wire skewers on. Okay, now we're using the beautiful skeletonized leaf. a group of it here. It's quite brittle. Put your hands right into the base of it. Toothpicks would be great if you wanted to glue these with toothpicks, it would work. These come in from Asia. Thousands of them. So more up back here. If you want to add curled ones for the front, you need to just curl them like this. A quick staple inside it and cut it to where you want it and pop it in. Now I want to add in here something fresh. Because of the white container being so enormous, we really need to have something white up the top. It could be white camellias, white carnations, white roses. It could be silk to go with the rest of the dried. Of course, it'd be fresh. I'm going to use fresh. Now all of the Narcissus family actually do not like floral foam, and so I have got some plastic tubes here. And I'm just going to pop them in to the floral foam because I want to end up with a bunch of narcissus coming up through the middle there. Even if you put these sort of spring bulbs in an arrangement with other other plant material, they just will really very quickly deteriorate. Add the water and bunch them like a little posy. I've already cut off all of the spent ones. And pop them in. You need to top them up quite frequently, and they also won't last incredibly long. Another posy for the second one. Just to make this lovely smelling, beautiful centerpiece. Posy obviously can only have as many flowers in it as will go into these tubes. And in it goes. You've got this whole centerpiece thing happening. Going through there and being able to see that there. Right, I have a little bit of fern left. Coming around the front because I want to see where the holes are. Bring that through there. Now the fun part. You've got the cutter and you've got some green aspidistra. The cutter is meant to work on paper, remember that, so it will not work on anything that's got a thickness of cardboard. So when you're experimenting with what you can use, just remember that you're going to wreck your cutter if you do it too thick. And in it goes, and make sure that it's gone right to the end of it there. Push down. Bring it out slowly. And you will have made yourself a beautiful plant dragonfly. Now, is that amazing or what? But then, when you have a look what's revealed in the leaf, you've also got it on the leaf, so that you can now use both sorts, the in and the out, to add to your design. So, I'm going to do the same thing with this aspidistra because I want a brown one. So right in. Pull it out carefully. There it is. Now you can have all sorts of fun with these shapes because we're going to just glue them wherever you think it's going to look really, really cool. Once again, use the cold glue and just a tiny dab at the back of it where you think it's going to make your design look excellent. I'm going to take the little brown one, tiny little dab. Just wait for it to hold. A tiny bit of glue. Where do I want this one to go? I can put it either here, or up here, or over here. I mean, it really could go anywhere, couldn't it? Shall we have them talking to each other? There it is. You saw it here first. Alright, what needs left to be done in this arrangement is some more skeleton leaves down here to fill in the floral foam there, and it will be done. And there it is, your signature little quirky piece that you can put on any design you feel like. But in the meantime, try it with an everlasting design that all you have to do is change those beautiful spring flowers. This one is all about your most favourite, your beautiful vase that you love, that is unique. You found it somewhere and you want to make it look glorious. This one was made by a potter in New Zealand, and you can see it's just a one-off lovely rustic vase. These sort of vases, if you're selling them, of course they're expensive anyway, so you don't want to put too much in them that is going to add to your cost for selling them, but you also want them to look spectacular. If you're doing this as a flower arranger for your home, it's just a lovely idea for getting a little bit more wow into your design with this vase. I've selected plant material that goes with the vase. We've got one palm frond. We call this in New Zealand silver beet. It's actually rainbow charred, and I've picked it because it's got these similar beautiful browns. Camellias and a very dark flax. Once again, dark flax to go with this, and all these colours to integrate, and aspidistra and some staples. I've already put the foam in here. From here down is all old dry foam, and I've cut the wet foam to fit in there very securely, so it's not going anywhere. It's a very heavy vase anyway, so you don't have to worry about it falling over. So first thing we're going to do is have a little play with the aspidistra, and what's wonderful about it, as we've already discovered, is there's so many different ways you can manipulate it. So this is all about stapling. This is a design to show you just how amazing stapling can be. So you take your aspidistra points here and you just put a little staple in there. As we've done in previous videos, if the staple's going to show too much, when you've finished, put a little spotted watercolour green on there and it'll do it. Okay, so you take them in both hands and then you twist one of them. Now this twisting is going to give you the most beautiful forms, and they'll be different depending on where you put the twist and if you're going to have one up or one down. You keep twisting and you'll end up with even more amazing forms. So you twist till you like what you've got, and I think that's lovely, and then you put both of them in to there. And that's immediately given a huge amount of flair to a very ordinary aspidistra leaf. So I'm going to do that several times. This tiny one here, I have already cut my dragonfly shape using the craft cutter that we used in the previous design. And so when I now attach another aspidistra leaf to that one, point to point and staple, pick it up and twist and pop it in beside this one, you'll see that dragonfly shape coming through the back there. Now we've established the line this way, we're going to add the frond. Now if I use it just like this, it's way too oversized, so we cut it down. What's wonderful about cutting a frond, you can cut it in a zigzag, you can cut it with bits out of it. It's just, they're the most amazing thing. You can use the bits I'm cutting off. Very long lasting. And suddenly it's woo-hoo-hoo ultra modern as you put it across there. Make sure I don't have that stem too long, or otherwise it's going to disrupt all the other stems that are going in. You notice that I've built the floral foam above the vase, and this is the reason why. I don't want to hide too much of my vase, but I do want to integrate it into it, so that when that goes in like that, it's bringing the design down, but you can look through still into that beautiful piece of pottery effect there. So now we've got this very stately look already happening. We'll be adding more aspidistra if we need it on the side. We're going to add the second stapling effect, which is so quick, so easy. You see it and you know it just makes a huge difference. The brown flax, as I've already said, roll it the way it wants to go, which is often from the outside in. Start with the point and roll. Pop the staple on the inside so it can't be seen. And then cut it down and down. So you've got a point to put it in. And we're going to group these onto the side here. So we pop them in. So we're getting all these wonderful colours and textures as we go. You can often get 2 rolls out of one flax blade, which makes it economic if you have to buy it. It's always worth it if you've got the climate to actually see how many different varieties of flax you can grow. Much cheaper. Pick the brown flax because it goes with everything. If I'd used the yellow, it would have introduced another colour, which I didn't want. So there is the curled flax. I managed to get 2 curls out of each blade, so that's 1, 2, 3, that's 5 blades I used there. And I've gone right round to the back as well, keeping it really, really quite tight. Tight because it makes that texture more interesting, but also it covers up that floral foam without having to add anything else. So we're getting this very chic modern look, and everything we want to add from this point on we want to have as a contrast. So the first contrast is the rainbow shard. You can see it, contrast of texture but within the same tints and tones and shades of that dark burgundy. So you can see that's where my angle is going through that way, and I'm going to fill in the angle with one more here as I terrace them along like that. So I'll just pop those ones in. When you're looking for a leaf, if you don't have rainbow chard, you're looking for something that is a different texture as a contrast there, and that just pops in there. Then I've also got a little bit of succulent. We call this the jade plant. Cut it on quite a severe angle and contrast again and pop it in there. It's been picked because of the shininess of it. Shiny here contrasting with the dull of there, shiny with shiny, but still different the colour. Have a look right down through here of how we're going. You can see that the back here still needs to have something filling there, so I'm going to add a much smaller aspidistra twirl. You could also use these, and these could go this way into the back. There's all sorts of ways. You can also circle these just like you circled the flax. Put a wee staple in there. And you could pop those in, and that would actually also give it another contrast on the back there. So never think that these sort of things are scraps. They can also always be used. I'm going to split it straight down the middle. Following the lateral lines. Curl, 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 curl. And pop it in. See, that's going to be too tall. I want it right down here. So I'm going to curl it a bit more. I mean, you can just keep curling it. You get some wonderful effects. Look at that. It's so cool. And pop it in. Alright, back to the front. I've picked 3 camellias. Roses would work, carnations, gerbras would work here, and I have pinned the back of them. I'm going to take all the leaves off, and these leaves I may be able to use to fill in any holes. Shiny again, always into contrast with these if you want to keep it modern. And that, of course, is why I've left that little hole there. And now you can see how it's bringing out the red from the jade plant there. And that, of course, is the focal point there. Just checking now for balance. And colour always adds the balance. You can see how it seems to be leaning over in this direction. So the second camellia will be going over that side. And by putting that second camellia into there, it's starting to pull it over again to the side. But have another look and say, what do I need next on it? Do I need the bud? Always analysing. I'm actually going to put the bud at the back, so it's something that you look through and discover. So it has a little sheltering effect there. So you're looking through into it, and that will open, but also you just get a tiny wee glimpse of it from the front. So I'm going to use the camellia leaves and layer them in. It's called terracing. You put them in so they don't touch each other, but they're creating a layer. So shiny with shiny, but different colour, and then against with the dull and the dull again. So there it is with a little bud there. There's a wee bit of promise for the back. There's the wee dragonfly shape for them to discover from they're on the side. And there's the front of the design. It hasn't completely covered up the vase, so the vase has now become part of the piece, and you've got all sorts of different techniques there to try out. So you have a look at it and you say, is it balanced? Does it look okay? Now, in my opinion, it's still not tall enough. We've got this large heavy piece here and large heavy vase, so I think it can actually get much taller. So I don't want to introduce too much that it's going to be fussy. So this is called Ting Ting. I've spray painted it black. It's really caned, that's simply been twisted at the top. And I'm going to pop it there. Now I'll just have it to show you the difference. There it is without that extra height. We put the extra height in and suddenly it feels more pleasing, and it takes away the dominating effect of this piece here, which is a flat plane. So I'm going to pop that into here, and then the design will be finished. And just pop it in down through there to the back. In a group, and it goes. And there it is, done. So, hope you've enjoyed this series of Let's Celebrate Vases. Wonderful things, so that you end up being able to go and put this on someone's coffee table if you're going to dinner or anything like that, without them saying, oh, I've now got to find a vase, and they're worrying about whether they're burning tea or not. Have a go with them all. Enjoy.